Microphone's off. Oh, where's my, oh, do I have, look at that. Okay, I'm ready. You want me to call it to order, or is that you? Are you ready to? Oh, goodness sakes. All right, let's call this P&Z meeting of March 11th, 2025 to order, please.
At 7:01, I shall establish roll call. Dan Scow.
Present.
Rachel Stewart is absent and excused tonight, and Melissa Wilson.
Here.
Okay, quorum has been established.
Okay, tonight's appointments and new businesses. We have a new body at the end of the table.
This is Gina Corson, and she will be assisting Planning and Zoning Commission with all of their various needs.
Okay, is she assisting you, or are you quitting us too?
No.
Okay, she's
Not
helping
not
with you.
Not that I know of.
That would be
Okay.
also.
Perfect, so
Sorry.
she's your new helper then as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I'm sorry, Miss Gina, your last name again?
Corson. C-O-R-S-O-N.
Oh, okay, so I added that, so yeah, thank you. Perfect. All right, do we need to do anything else about that, or are we good?
No, ma'am, we
Okay,
don't.
let's rock and roll then. Anything with the tabled items? Have we heard anything else from these fine folks?
We have new business.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do not have that.
Oh, you must not
Here,
I
let me
have
help
the
you.
new agenda.
Let me help you.
It's up here. Mr. Hunsaker's here.
Oh, look at that. I apologize, folks. I did not have the new one. So, Mr. Hunsaker, yes, sir.
He's gonna hop on up.
Well, you don't have to hop.
No, no,
Oh,
no,
you, we're
no, no,
informal
we're a little bit
here.
less
No, no, no,
formal.
come on
You
over
get to come
here.
up to the
Have a
front.
seat.
Just
Let's
have a seat.
relax.
This is a comfortable meeting.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you for offering to stand, but you're good, boss.
No, I'm happy to do
All right, so.
whichever. Kind of used to that podium over there.
So what have we got going on here?
So Star Valley Health, as you know, we built the clinic and opened it in 2022, and we found that the X-ray unit we have in our X-ray room is insufficient for the amount of business we're doing now.
Of course.
Actually we put it in, it was a certified used model, and it was mainly built for like a primary care clinic and not for an orthopedic clinic. Now that we have Dr. Stuckey coming to do orthopedic clinic here in Alpine on a weekly basis, we find that the X-ray unit is insufficient. So our plan is to replace that X-ray unit with a more sophisticated, shall I say, X-ray unit. That we have to go in and do some reconstruction in the room and put in some structure above the ceiling so that the unit can hang from the ceiling and can be moved
Oh,
around
that
much
makes sense.
easier,
Yeah,
rather than just a stationary unit on the floor.
yes, sir.
And we have to cut the floor, put in some electrical conduits. We have to put the structure in above the ceiling, as you may have seen, the minor construction is $166,000 to do all that work.
Well, especially tearing up your concrete.
Yeah,
stuff on the ground, too.
And you know, I guess as you think about it, it's a $25 million investment over there in that building, $166,000, I guess maybe you could call that minor.
It's not any easier
So-
on the pocket. these days.
Just a small change.
Yeah, just a small change order, right? So that's really in essence what we're applying for is a permit to refurbish that room and put that newer X-ray unit in there.
Nice.
Do you have to pour more concrete? Or-
Just where we cut the floor, we'll have to re-pour that in and redo the flooring. And
But nothing to hold the structure.
no, there'll be some steel beams that will go in there that will cover with drywall and dress it back up. So unistrut above the ceiling with some steel beams to hold it.
Okay.
With the steel beams, is that something that we would need to have any structural integrity or anything on?
I've been working
Withholding.
with Bob Choma and Mr. Hunsaker on this project. Due to the fact that it is a medical facility, that falls under the jurisdiction of the Wyoming Department of
Oh.
Health.
Yes, ma'am.
And so included in our packet here is documentation from the Department of Health gentleman. The reason that it is, they're pulling the minor construction permit is because they're making electrical modifications to a commercial structure.
Okay,
Right, and I should mention to the commission that we have submitted the electrical plans to the Department of Fire Safety and Electrical Inspection. We have not gotten that approved and back in our hand, and so my request tonight would be from the commission to approve our permit contingent upon receiving that report back from the electrical inspector's office and the approval from them.
have we heard from, clarification, because you mentioned a different body than the state of Wyoming. You said the health department. And
So
then
it
you
is,
said the
it
state
is
of Wyoming,
it
so.
is the
Yeah,
state, it is the state of Wyoming, and they work in conjunction with the fire marshal's office, the
Right.
electrical safety office, and then because it's a medical care facility, that's where the Department of
Health.
Health.
It's really convoluted.
It is, it sounds like it, yes,
Comes
sir.
in, and what is this, Pat Davis?
Pat Davis from the
He's
Department of
He's the
Health.
Chief Life Safety and Construction Branch.
Okay, so are all of those departments going to communicate together?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
sorry, I didn't
electrical.
know what you're
No, I don't
trying to
even know
get
what,
at.
yeah, there were so many
The
departments.
electrical inspector's office or the state electrical inspection office will review our plans, and if they're acceptable, they'll approve them and send a report to us and to the Wyoming Department of Health.
Okay,
And we would get the go-ahead from the Department of Health that they're okay with us to do the construction. We'd like to start the construction about March 23rd, and we're hopeful that we can get this back
when
from,
did you get everything submitted to the state?
clear back in September.
Oh, goodness sakes.
But I think we had a little glitch with the electrical
little?
inspector's office that,
Yeah, there's a little,
Yeah.
they've got a new electrical inspector, from my understanding, and I'm not sure if he is out of Riverton or
Yeah,
Lander,
right.
or, the previous one has, left the state employment.
Okay,
and so we've been patient, but I dinged them in the last few days to get on the stick and get that review done for us, so.
okay. Well, sorry, go ahead.
And what's Bob's title?
He's our,
Facilities.
construction project manager for
Okay.
us.
So I've been working with the construction project manager on this, and we've been in communication. And so we have the understanding that, you know, any documentation that's gonna be coming from any of the state
Will be shared.
entities
Yeah,
will be
right.
provided to me. And he's local.
Oh, good, okay.
See, I think that, Mo, there isn't anything that will be inspected by our
But our
local
team,
town.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everything will be outside
Yeah.
of our purview.
But generally,
But
our
it's,
precedence is that we don't approve these permits without
Yeah.
having all of that paperwork in
yeah,
hand.
and I would
And
have to
that's where
say
the
that
principle, that's where
if he sent it in September,
we have, no disrespect at all when I state this, we have documentation that he did send it in September, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
I'm good with that.
I guess I would agree with you not to issue the permit to us until we have gotten that information back from the state electrical inspector's office. But my request to this commission is approve it contingent upon receiving that. So in other words, Christine wouldn't give me the permit until she had it in hand.
Right, and so in the past, we've done that in the past, and
It
we're
came to
slowly,
bite us.
and it's a
Oh, really?
lot.
it's
Okay.
come to bite us.
Many,
Alright.
many
And-
times,
see.
and we're
and
trying to
it's-
change
I
it.
totally respect your place. You know, you're trying to just get the ball
Yeah, and we have to.
down the court, and you're waiting on somebody who, not even in our county, that actually has to do work for you.
Right.
Right,
Unfortunately, we have been bit.
many times.
Now,
Sure.
it's not, we're not gonna be inspecting any of this.
No.
So I really kinda can say personally that the hospital is gonna be inspected by the state and by the state health organization.
Yeah,
He's not even gonna get to do any work. He can't even do the work
right.
until he
No.
gets that
Right,
piece.
yeah, so the electrical inspector's office will submit their approval to the Wyoming Department of Health, and then they'll give us the green light, separate from the building permit that the town would issue to us, so.
So what did this electrical inspector say to you when you rung his bell?
Their office has been inundated with new staff members, and it, honestly, I think it fell through the crack, and we didn't follow up in a timely manner a month or so ago, or we would have had it done by now, so.
Now, at the town, and at the last meeting, at the town council meeting, or at the special workshop, whatever it was, there was a discussion on the state providing all of that information, and we don't always get that information from what the new inspector was saying, if I recall correctly. This was brought up that we don't always get to review that after it's submitted to the state. Was that in fact the case? When like Mr. Hunsaker's got all of his paperwork in, and then the state approves it, do we just get the approval letter from the state and we move forward with
It's
that?
incumbent on the applicant to submit that stuff. However, don't listen, Dan. I take the extra step of contacting the state to confirm
Okay.
if a permit application has been approved.
Okay.
But I am working closely with Mr. Choma, and I'll be honest, I'm confident I know him well enough as to where,
And
I can go on.
if this commission would feel more comfortable to get that in place, I'm happy to come back on the second Tuesday of April and to get the permit. A couple of weeks delay is
I would feel,
not the end of the world.
and I would feel a lot more comfortable. This is the precedence that we've set in the past 2 years, we've set this precedence. If we just say, oh, okay, we know you're working on it, and we trust you, we value you, but we also haven't done that in the past, this past few years.
I
for
completely
that.
understand.
So I would love to say, yeah, contingent on getting that, but like Mr. Scow said, it has bit us in the rear end quite a few times. Even
Okay.
with this administrator, with this board, and with previous boards as well.
And
I
I really don't,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
We're
not
not
putting
gonna-
myself in your spot. You know, I know it's difficult when people don't give you what you want. And I would totally agree with Mo. I don't think we're gonna be able to give you what you want.
Yeah, no,
I
that's-
want
that's
to,
fine.
and I know that you're gonna get it done. I mean, your building is health and safety and well-being, and 100% transparency. You do an amazing job, and you've done a really good job
I
with
just
getting
have
that
to-
building
I wanna
done.
ask Christine,
Uh-oh.
why, okay, I'm just gonna ask,
Mm-hmm.
why did he come to us? Only because he wanted to be nice and let us know? Because he could have worked right with the state. And
Mr.
he didn't have to
Hunsaker.
go to us.
because they are in the incorporated
Yeah,
boundaries
we're
of the town
inside
of
the city
Alpine,
limits.
and they are doing electrical work on a commercial structure which warrants a minor construction permit.
Awesome.
Okay?
And we
Which
appreciate
will,
that, thank you.
because of our
Because
town
of our-
council, we will never inspect it.
Well, on occasion, Rob does do inspections for us to verify if the state can't get over here to inspect. We've asked Rob in the past, and the state has asked Rob in the past to go inspect, give his
Blessing.
approval and blessing. We'll let the state know so we can keep the construction moving, but that happens occasionally. But again, if I need to have that electrical inspection permission prior to getting a permit, that's not the end of the world for me.
We would really appreciate it. I hate to say, yeah, go ahead, and then have other folks in the past go
See,
yell at us
that's-
about, that's what,
That's the problem.
Sure.
yeah. And I mean,
That's the
I know you're gonna get it
Because if we
done.
are really nice to you, we
and
gotta be nice to everybody,
Oh,
and we don't wanna be nice to everybody.
Trying to follow the rules and not get our butts in a sling. And yeah, there's no disrespect. We know you're gonna get it done
No,
and get
not
it
at
taken
all.
care of. And
I'd
that's
be happy
really
to-
Thanks for
unfortunate.
the understanding.
Get on your
Yeah.
agenda for next month's meeting. I'm not sure
Can you
which
make
day
that
that
happen,
is.
Christine?
I will make that happen.
Okay,
If
second
we-
Tuesday of the month, right?
And that,
Okay.
Gina, I can't see that
The
tiny.
next Tuesday.
Is that the 11th or the 8th?
Oh, there's.
On the bottom. The 8th, April 8th.
Okay.
And I can go over and talk
Yeah, it's
to
only,
Bob
that's
tomorrow.
only a 14-day delay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's not the end of the world.
I appreciate your understanding. And
Give me
so
bones.
let's go ahead and I will entertain a motion to table.
I'll make a motion that we table the North Lincoln County Hospital MC 01-25 to April 8th.
I have a motion, I'll second. Any further discussion? Thank you so much for your understanding. It's
No
just.
problem, thank
yeah.
you. Appreciate the opportunity
Makes
to
this a
come
challenge.
before this commission.
This looks amazing
Thanks
though.
for-
That's gonna be
Thanks
awesome.
for showing us
Yeah.
your face again.
Yeah, and this is gonna be a
Absolutely,
great
I'm sure I'll be
addition.
back.
Please do.
Just for your information, we'll be budgeting for the coming fiscal year, which starts July 1, to build a helipad near the ER there.
Nice.
We have a verbal agreement from the homeowners association over there. And we're probably gonna add some more parking over there as well, just because of the nature of the business, and we underestimated the employee parking by quite a bit. So
Wondering where all those cars
we're gonna build some more parking, so just for your information, we'll be back and requesting some funding
Fantastic.
for that.
Awesome.
How fun.
Thank
So we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, thank you for coming in, absolutely. So
Thank you.
you are going, let me just, this is not in regards to everything we're doing, but you mentioned that you did not encounter or account for as much parking as you should have. Is that something that you think we should maybe address in our land use and development code for commercial parking, do you think?
Well, I think we meet the parking requirements, but we
Right.
didn't, the snow
Oh.
storage would turn into a little bit of a problem for us this year. It encroached on some of our parking.
That makes sense.
So in the future, we're gonna move the snow further away, but, just kind of planning for busyness and growth, thinking, okay, we probably ought to have some more parking over there.
Okay,
I think we meet we put in more parking than the land use code requires, but we just see that, the writing's kind of on the wall for us as the surgery, outpatient surgery gets busier, as the ER gets busier, as the clinic gets busier with specialists there, it's just gonna become tighter and tighter, especially in the wintertime with
For
snow
sure.
removal
yes, sir.
needs, so, it wouldn't hurt to take a look at that, at the land use code, as to what
And you
parking for healthcare type facilities, the amount of parking that's needed, so.
Did you say, if you just said that you put in more parking than what was required for our land use development code? Maybe we can revisit that and just see what that was and go from there,
Yeah, they were above their,
like way above
Requirement.
or?
Yeah, above the minimum.
I
Probably
don't
by
know
10 or
by-
10 or
yeah.
15 stalls is all, not a ton.
Well, that's still a lot though, considering you're thinking about you have to add more. So that might be something we'll have to revisit again. Some other mathematical
I don't know
equation.
if it's, revisiting it on the basis of, a healthcare facility. You are the healthcare facility, so
Right.
Yeah.
we're not gonna get another one of those.
No, but it's a good thing to have some sort of a parameters, if we have a larger commercial building that comes in. If he is already concerned about not having enough room for storage, for snow storage, and then not having enough room for parking as well in the winter months, that might be something we'll have to reevaluate. I don't know how we'll get the data.
Did he fall in the 20% snow storage space?
I thought he did.
No, it was
Did you?
prior. It was
Or
prior.
was
It was
it, or
prior.
was it the 2.5?
Oh,
I don't remember.
oh gosh,
It
it
was
was a while ago.
2022
22,
is when you opened.
right, so
And
we
the
Yeah, it
permit
would've been-
was
applied for his
probably
permit in 20.
2020.
So it was before this.
So he was, I believe he was at the 2.5.
Okay, well then that might explain the situation then.
Yeah, so we're,
Now, they do have the 2 adjacent lots to their, to their property,
I don't
and
think that
they could
a stackable
enter
garage-
into a snow storage and/or shared parking agreement for those other lots.
well, and also
If-
knowing that the helipad is about an 80 by 80 piece of concrete that'll be fenced off and lighted. It'll have to have snow removal on it on a daily basis, so you can put that snow somewhere too.
Is that
so
gonna be down by the,
It'll be west of
the-
the ER.
Yeah.
in the front parking lot, right by the emergency, kinda like
Well,
down in
Sort
Afton?
of to the west of that parking area.
Okay,
we will have to move some of the trees we planted, but that's kind of hard in that area.
Okay, well, you know, we can look at that when you bring
Yeah,
that in.
if that actually makes more sense than if there was only at the 2.5% then.
Yeah,
Okay.
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 Well,
Well,
thank you so
sir.
much, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. sir.
perfect, thank you for coming down.
Yes, we appreciate you coming down.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Our next items are tabled items.
No, we're leaving it on table.
Okay,
We're
so
leaving
just
it
to
on
give
the
you,
table, or we're
just to
leaving
give
it
you,
on the table?
just
Oh,
give
yeah.
you just a quick update,
That's
I
what I was
talked
asking
to,
for,
Mr. Kilpatrick today, or Kilpat, and we are working through a couple more, power lines and, items of that sort, and so he is gonna get all of his stuff put together, and we're gonna move forward, and it's the hope that we can go ahead and get the permits put in place for April. This has been given to the new, building inspector, and so he had a couple of comments on there, and then he's just fine tuning it, checking it, making sure he's up to speed on the project.
Is there any way you can possibly just remind our new building inspector as well with the things that we found? Make sure, I'm sure he's already on it, he's got it taken care of, but there was the retaining wall. We were concerned about the retaining wall. There was the power lines.
There was the power line, and then there was, you know, however the town wants to manage that planned road behind.
that's right, the road, yeah.
Destabilization of that road.
Yeah.
And I have not seen any documentation
And
and/or
he's
engineering.
he's working on that retaining wall documentation.
Okay. That was a big thing that we had talked about. that
We
didn't
also
see it.
got a letter from Lower Valley,
Mhm.
and there was concerns about how that was written and what they said. They will be the initiator of all permits going forward with that property. They will only grant him a grading permit.
Oh,
And so we sent an email to Joyce, who is handling all the stuff with Lower Valley. She has not responded yet, but I'm gonna place a phone call to Joyce. I know her very well, known her for many years. I'm gonna call her tomorrow, and I'm gonna find out the particulars.
and Joyce is with Lower Valley?
She is.
Gotcha.
She's the one who wrote the letter to us.
Okay.
It's just too vague, and
Okay.
we need to get some concrete answers. If she doesn't wanna answer the email, we actually have to call her and ask, so.
No,
I
yeah, that
told
makes sense.
Christine that I would do that.
Oh, good job. Well, there you go. Good job, Dan. Step it up. We appreciate you, man. Doing a fine job.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. Can I get a raise?
Sure.
Get up, stand up, and I'll move your chair up. It raises up. It's real fancy. Okay, so our next ones are our LUDC workshop revision review. I didn't see anything has changed from what we initially went through. Is that still in fact the correct case, or am I crazy?
Changed as of
Oh, you're kind of,
Oh, God, really? I read through the 162 documents that were emailed to me.
Now you get to change it again.
when were they?
I think we got them Monday?
I sent them on Monday, and
Yep.
then we did a bunch of updating.
We had a bunch of
Oh,
updating.
yeah, no, I didn't get those. Mm-mm.
Okay,
Oh, never. It
Okay.
takes a while for this to load.
Yeah, there's 162 pages.
yeah. Okay, it's just so you know, one of the minor changes, the Planning and Zoning Commission shall now, effective upon passage of the Land Use Development Code, they will only be meeting once a month, and it will be the second Tuesday of the month for the
Oh.
whole year.
Oh, really? What about our building season and all of our
We don't
Our
do that
citizens.
anymore.
So our
shed affidavits and?
new building
Sorry.
official will be looking at all the permit applications, and he will be making recommendations. We will be looking at site plans only and moving through that process there.
Okay. Well, before you just continue on, I just have more questions, if that's okay.
Uh-huh.
So what about, so one of the reasons, if I recall correctly, on why we did 2 meetings a month in the summertime months is because other folks were trying to get things done, like fences, sheds, what have you. And so that was one of the main reasons why we met twice a month in the
So
summertime. Is
fences
that
and
correct?
sheds are on affidavits.
So we don't need to see that anymore?
So they come in, they fill out their affidavit, and sign on the line that they're following the rules and the regulations, and there you go. And then they
Okay.
can walk out,
Okay.
with a permit application or a building permit and be able to, construct their fence
Okay.
over the weekend.
And what about, and I'm only, because
And-
these are one of the main, this is kind of a big deal.
So, this is a big deal. So deck
Yes.
affidavits decks will no longer be on an affidavit. They will be put back onto a minor construction permit
Okay,
application. So yes, you will see a deck for a minor construction permit application,
okay.
regardless if it's attached or detached to the
Oh.
primary structure.
Well, okay, I mean, once again, we only get a few months out of the year, and us local homeowners don't get the opportunity to work on our homes during the weeks.
And it's not for us anymore. It goes directly to the building official.
Yeah, but so we don't even approve it, it just goes directly to him, period?
We don't approve anything anymore.
So is that gonna delay, like, a Joe homeowner to come in and get a deck permit and have a, or not certificate?
As long as they have all of their permit application and what has been identified on their checklist,
Mm-hmm.
it should not.
So they should be able to get it within the 2 weeks?
Right.
So they're not
They-
gonna be
they can't- They
impeded?
can't come in,
Okay.
Brett can't come in,
Question when you're done with that.
okay, well, I can't see you because the
I know
chair's
it's
in the
the
way.
big armchair.
So Brett
Quit
can't come
hiding.
in on a Thursday afternoon and say, hey, guess what,
Yeah.
Christine? I want to do a deck.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
That
gonna
makes
have to
sense.
go, unfortunately, he's gonna have to go through the process.
It will
Okay.
it'll take a month
With that said,
before he gets approval.
with that said,
Ah.
there's additional things that I believe were not getting identified by the affidavit process for the specific decks.
But, so is it gonna be a month before the decks can be built?
Yes.
A minimum, sounds like. I'm just asking, like,
Yeah.
if someone turns an application and a building official approves it, recommends approval, does that go directly back to the applicant, or does it have to go to the board that still, and you have to wait a month?
It's gonna
plus?
go, we're working through the logistics right now, to be perfectly honest.
Understood.
The building official is gonna approve or deny. He's gonna make that recommendation to the town clerk.
Mm-hmm.
The town clerk is gonna be the one
Yeah.
that issues that permit
Okay.
application.
Understood. So every jurisdiction is different, okay? But I know in other jurisdictions, we'd submit, and then, planning, building, any other department, public works would all comment, and then the approval or checklist items, corrections, would just go directly back to the applicant,
The town
and there was no
council
public
doesn't-
process.
The town council doesn't need our voice anymore for this.
Okay.
That is, for the record, this is a challenge, for, like I said, weekend warriors who are trying to build a deck on their homes. Now, I'm not saying that they can come in on a Thursday and build it on a Saturday, don't get me
Proper
wrong.
planning prevents piss poor performance.
You are correct, but I'm gonna tell you, if my deck fails and I have to get it fixed because it's failed, I'm gonna get it fixed and ask for forgiveness because I can't wait a month, right?
I believe that there is a provision
Okay,
in the land use development code for
health and safety. There
health and
is.
safety.
You're right, I
and
apologize.
and emergencies.
Okay. Man, a month.
I was just
But if
curious.
it's not an emergency,
Yeah.
and Brent wanted to add a brand new deck on his house, he's gotta submit, plus he's gotta bring structurals. He can't just bring a drawing.
Yeah.
It's a full set,
It's a
full
full
application
deal.
process, because there's structure
Chances are that we're gonna have a heads up. Okay, so
But we're not.
Christine, yeah, well, I'll give it to you. Christine, I'm gonna, I have a problem with my deck, I need to redo my deck, what exactly do I need to do? And then I will inform you guys and let you guys know, this is what I've been working on, this is what is slated for maybe the next meeting.
Right.
Or what have you.
Right.
Okay. Is that in part 1 or part 2, then, this whole 1 meeting a month, or?
That would be
It
in
was
part
right,
one.
it was right here.
Part 1, page
Yeah,
2.
Page 2.
Okay.
I just found it. It's
I was
in
just curious, and
green.
I don't mean to explain it all, I'll just read
No,
through it.
It's in
Yeah.
green,
No, Brett, you're totally fine. It just seems,
right there.
and is this for all decks? Is this like if you just have like a little 2x4 on top of your
Shed?
sidewalk? I mean, what if you have a
Sheds,
little
the whole
step?
nine
Oh,
yards.
sheds too.
You got the whole 9 yards.
You got a whole month before you can put a 300
Because-
square foot
well,
shed.
it's
Okay,
gonna
let
take
me-
him.
Sorry,
Let me stop you.
sorry, yes ma'am.
Sheds are still on affidavits
Okay,
at the current time.
okay.
Decks aren't, because there's a lot of different complexities
There is.
on decks. Decks, if they're raised up a certain amount,
Okay.
there's a
That's what I was
lot
trying to
of,
get at.
there's a
Okay.
lot of different complexities.
So
that
no
a deck-
structure no structure for a shed. So if I wanted to build a
If you wanna
200
do-
square foot deck.
If you wanna go under 200 square feet,
Yeah.
Is it 2 or 3?
two,
I thought it was
well,
300.
it's,
Sorry,
I don't know.
excuse me.
I-
It's all
I
good.
don't know.
Anyway.
We'll find it.
But, you
But
know,
yeah.
there will have to be some structure involved in that. You just don't get to like build it and lay it on the ground. There's gonna end up being some concrete. Are you gonna put power in it?
Nope, it's
Nope.
just gonna be a shed.
It's gonna
on
be
the
sheds.
Well, somebody's sleeping in one, so they
Well-
brought power to it.
Well, my husband keeps having us.
Well, we don't know that. Technically. We don't know that.
I don't know, it looks, there's a lamp.
I have a lamp in my shed
There's a
too.
lamp.
Maybe it's
It's just where it's
before.
stored, yeah. So even sheds are gonna be a month out too?
No,
Okay. Oh, they're still at
Sheds
affidavit.
are
I'm so
still
sorry.
on
Affidavit. I
affidavits.
apologize. I'm so sorry. Don't
as
yell at me.
long as it's under the magical 200 square feet.
Okay. Pardon me.
Or 300
Yeah, I really thought it was
Or 300, or whatever the number is. I can't remember the number off the, you
Yeah.
put me,
I
there's
thought
a
it was
number in there.
300, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. if I
provided that they're, and I think the way it, well, I'd have to look at that again.
recall. Okay, so decks are gonna be a month out,
Yes, ma'am,
is what we're coming down
is
to.
what you're coming down to.
And,
Now,
is there
these,
gonna be?
these revisions, might as well just stay there.
Okay.
These revisions are going to town council
Is this the third?
next week for,
Three.
for a third and final reading. Now, the town council will be looking this over, so,
Any concerns, we should say them now.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
So, with those parameters with the deck, now I can get on board with wanting structures and all that, especially if you have 4x4s that are gonna be 4 foot tall, and that's how tall your deck is, and those definitely need to be engineered, but, like, I've got 2 little steps that go into my house, and it's not attached, you know what I mean? So I would like to hear what the parameters are.
It's not about that. We are not taking, we're not taking any more plans. We don't get to read anything. We don't get to look at anything.
You
Right.
get to look at a site
We
plan,
get to look at a site plan and make sure that the zoning is correct and that they're in
setbacks,
the setbacks.
snow
Right.
storage.
No, so
Parking.
where I'm talking right now, I'm taking off my P and Z hat and I'm putting on my Alpine citizen hat. And if I have to, so I'm wondering about what the parameters would be as far as that goes, like the heights
Somebody
and
has
stuff.
changed it for us,
Right,
and so we would have to go to the next board that meets next Tuesday.
and I will, but I need this clarification now so that I know exactly what to have this conversation for. Because the parameters are, like, if you've got something, if we don't have it in here on how tall or whatever, you have to get a whole structured engineered plan because you want to build a 4x4 little step off your front
Life-
porch.
That's life safety. So somebody could actually fall off of your deck if it's not built right,
Right.
and then that's why it needs to be engineered.
No, Dan, I do understand that, but if you've got if
It's
you're,
not about that.
I understand that, but that seems redonkulous,
It's
that you
life
have, that you have to get,
It's life safety.
but you have to get a full-on engineered stamp plans for, a little
just
4x4 deck off your, or
Just
step
telling
off
you,
your porch.
Yeah. I think there needs to be some common sense there, like who's gonna take a 4-foot square landing 18 inches off the ground and ask a structural engineer to stamp it? Like, I've never,
There's no
it's-
way.
It's,
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
what's,
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
So the building
the
official,
next,
yeah,
the next department that gets all the plans
Yeah.
is requiring it.
And that's where I'm.
We'll just have
coming
that
From too. It's-
talk with them, like, what is,
We're gonna have to
Yeah, I
set
see what
those
you're saying.
parameters as citizens, cause that's
We
something.
didn't get to set this.
We
parameter.
do as citizens when we go to the meeting next week.
The town council set these.
They are
parameters.
also elected officials that we elected them in, and they have to listen to our,
So
Statements as well.
when you do that, then you
Yeah,
need to present
absolutely.
that you're as a citizen.
as a citizen, not PNC. No, I totally get that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying to get on the same page. Now, Dan, I understand exactly what you're saying about having engineered stamp plans. I totally can get on board with that with certain aspects for decks, absolutely. But
Decks have always been that kind of, a little bit of a slippery slope.
yeah, they really
Yeah.
are.
Because you come in, you fill out the deck affidavit, and as we're seeing with this maybe particular shed application, people come in and say, yep, I'm gonna follow the rules and the regulations, so I'm gonna sign my
Right.
name. And
Now-
next thing
now
you
it's-
know,
Now it's
Yeah.
a habitable space.
Yeah.
so,
There's 3 beds in it, and.
and a
Perfect.
deck
And
could
heat.
be,
and a kitchen, living, dining.
a
No, we
life,
don't know that because we haven't
Yeah.
seen that picture.
it
Yeah.
could be a life safety type of thing.
Correct.
Because in the IBC, there is the height limit as to where,
Yeah,
if
there
it
is.
needs a railing
That's right.
or not. And so
Yeah, it's,
that has
um,
always
I forgot
kind
about
of been a
It's
little bit of a slippery slope.
30
And I
inches and
think-
above.
I think it is a good
Guardrails.
You're talking
idea.
about a whole different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
attached to the home,
That's the other
absolutely.
one.
That makes sense.
It is a good idea to have somebody look it over rather
Yeah.
than, I'll take your 250 and, there you go.
Yeah.
And away you go.
The
and-
unfortunate part, Brett, is that we can't qualify any of the guys who build. Right, we can't.
Oh,
do
because there's no licensure in this
licensing,
county
and-
or, yeah.
And you know as well as I do, count 5 guys maybe that
Yeah.
you could trust to pull it all off.
Yeah.
But when you start hearing that an entire roof structure and deck
Oh,
came
yeah.
off of a house down in Star Valley Ranch,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because all they
that was
did
bad.
was put in some 3-inch grabbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've run into that before.
Yeah.
And that's the part we're trying to stop.
Right.
Because those are things that can hurt somebody. So a little old
That can
lady,
be- I can get on
little
board
old
with
lady
that.
gets up on your deck, and yes, you built this little 4x4 thing, but it's attached to your house.
no, but yes, okay, if
right?
this one is
It's
attached,
to your
yeah.
house,
Okay,
and it falls off, she falls down and breaks her hip.
yep. Homeowner's insurance.
No, why did you put it in with 2-inch and 5/8 grabbers?
Gotcha.
Right? It's not, this is life safety stuff. If it's an entrance into a home or out of a home, it needs to meet a certain height, like 7¼ inches. And it needs to be drawn so people can verify that.
I don't think that is kind of where the route that she's going. Yes, I did kind of drive this because I do feel that decks need to be inspected. Decks
Yes.
don't need just a simple affidavit. There is more information that needs to be submitted for these decks.
Yes, I'll give you that too. I agree.
You're driving more towards, now you've only got that one opportunity every month to go
Yes.
ahead and get, so if his deck falls off tomorrow, or you decide to remodel it or enlarge it tomorrow, you're gonna have to wait a whole nother month
Yep.
in the summer to do that. So I think
So there-
that's
that
where,
is one of them,
that's your,
yes, that's one of my
what your
concerns.
concern is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if the building official can turn it over and approves it,
Yeah,
but it's not coming to us, it's gonna go to the clerk.
No, I totally understand that. I
So
heard that at
there
the
is
last
this
meeting.
part of, how much, for me, it's like, how much work does the clerk really need to have on her plate? She's handling all this other stuff, and now she's gonna handle building permits too?
Yeah.
But that's another time for another story. So if you come into us, you will never see us. You'll see us, give us a site plan, let's make sure it fits,
Right,
let's see its setbacks, that's all we're gonna ever tell you. That's all we get to ever speak about.
yeah, so we're not gonna be flipping through full sets.
And it,
So-
which
Yeah.
you shouldn't have been doing
Still don't
anyway.
Yeah.
like the
But
fact that-
Yeah,
Well,
no, I
we'll
don't know,
have
it,
to Make a note on that.
it seems like there's a stipulation somewhere in the IBC books about decks over certain heights,
Yes.
right?
That's
And-
There is,
And it's
yeah.
always been like, practically speaking, can you walk under it or not? But you could still have a 4-foot deck that, kids are playing under, all that. So I get it for anything taller, but it seems like, if we're talking like a
I
foot.
have 2 little
Yeah.
steps that go into my house.
So all that stuff
And
is
we
just gonna
just-
be built and no one's gonna ever pull a permit on it, cause that's just,
Yeah.
no one's gonna bother.
And it can't be attached to my house because I've got a modular house. Now, you're telling me that if, because the salt that we put on our deck this winter, it went through it, I
doesn't
have to get it engineered?
Doesn't have
and we
anything
put it
to
in?
do with that. Doesn't have anything to do with that. Because you have a step coming out of your house. And it doesn't meet code,
It was like it when we bought the house.
but you're
So-
replacing it, so now,
Repairing
according
it.
to the IBC, you actually have to bring it up to now.
I gotta move. You people are gonna kick me out of this town.
I'm just telling you
I know, and
the
I'm telling
legal
you.
parts of it. It's like, we don't get to make these choices. These choices have been made for us. Now, I understand how Alpine has been. It's like, yeah, we'll build a shed. We'll stick 3 people in it. We'll get some rental income. Okay, that's the way it is. But that's the way it can't be. We have to do something,
I'm gonna-
or the town has to do something to rectify those things.
And
What
I
happens if
understand
that
that.
shed burns down in the middle of the night and 3 people die? Because what? It was never inspected, and yeah, they actually did plug in some extension cords to a
Right.
heater, and it burnt the thing down, and we got 3 dead people. That's life safety stuff. All of what we're dealing with.
But that's also more of a personal, like that is, so if you had done that, that's your butt. That is your fault that happened, right?
I understand that, but that's why there's codes, so we don't do it.
But
That's
there's,
why we're policed, and there's inspections, and there's plan review, and there's all this stuff that goes into it to make sure somebody doesn't do something bad.
it's Big Brother watching our.
It's not Big Brother
It
because
feels like Big
so many
Brother.
people have died, and
No,
so many
yeah.
people are injured.
Yep, I
The-
understand that.
The world IBC has decided we're gonna build some codes, and that's how you gotta follow. And then the state of Wyoming adopted them. So because the state of Wyoming adopted it, you have to follow it because you live in this state,
I understand.
right?
I
So-
can get on board, like I said, I can get on board with but I am not gonna wanna
And,
get.
and
for
you
an
and I, we
engineer.
could go around and around and around about what's practical and what's not. I totally get it. But if we don't set the line, we have to set this line.
Just
So-
refer to the IRC and just, yeah, it's in there somewhere.
It's in
I'm
there.
gonna have to.
Okay, so can
Should I
can
get you a bat?
can I-
Would you like a bat?
Can I move on?
I guess.
I just,
Can it get any worse?
one last question on the LEDC workshop stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to see like what changes have been made in the last couple of weeks or since the meeting?
She's got it right up
That's
there.
in there and that's on the town website?
And it's in
Okay.
Yeah,
green,
but,
right?
Perfect.
It's
but
on.
Gina's got it right there. She can scroll right to it, because I'm gonna have her go to page 5 now.
Okay,
There we go.
So that's actually in part 2.
yep,
Oh, well, she's not, yeah.
This is, the deck part is in part 2, and it's page, 41.
got it.
Okay, I was just gonna run through mine really quick.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's why I'm on page 5.
okay.
I
Oh,
was
you're only on
But
page
I-
5?
I'm on page 5,
on page 5.
which
On
is
2?
section,
Oh, section
she's
2.
got them all, no, section 1.
Go.
There you go, you're almost there. Is that 3?
No, that's 3.
Okay.
There you go, 5.
Okay, anything that's in green is what's gonna be changed. Now, if you recall correctly, at one point, we did not have a building official.
Right,
We only had a building inspector.
right.
Well, now, we have a building official, which serves as the building inspector. So, we're cleaning that up. So now, the building inspector has been stricken from those sections. Okay?
Will the building official be attending
The-
planning and zoning meetings?
No.
In person?
No, we don't,
Okay.
apparently we
All
don't
right.
need it. We're just here for looks.
Okay, so item number 2 underneath B is what Dan is referencing. Authorize and/or recommend issuance of building permits to the town clerk. The building official will be doing.
My webpage.
Will be doing that. I think one of the, scrolling down to the next page is where Brett is going to be double backing into a couple of different things. They have created a section that says Design Review Committee, and they are incorporating that into section 1-108. And that kind of is outlining what's gonna happen or the procedure for the Design Review Committee and who their officers are, what jurisdiction and what responsibilities they have, what meetings they're gonna have, and their authority and duty, permit issuance, compliance and enforcement, and fees and administration. So anything that's in green right there is an addition that was implemented for the Design Review Committee. And Brett, we can email this to you also, okay?
Great, yeah, it'd be nice to read through it, because I'm taking an hour going through it now, but I get the gist of it. I mean, it's something that the mayor wanted to do for a while, and he created it, and we're moving forward with it, and we have to notify your board. I doubt you've had time to read through it, but, the intent.
Oh, you mean
So
the,
that's,
The
the-
guidelines,
that's,
yeah.
that's,
Those are-
we did,
that's
yeah.
gonna- that's
I
gonna
printed
be-
mine out, yeah.
that's
and
gonna
read
be
'em.
right after this, Brett.
Got it, okay, so
I printed
this
mine
is
out,
the
read 'em.
LEDC change that's gonna reference that.
Right.
Okay.
And so just kind of skimming through, and I'm just gonna, everybody's gonna look at it for you, if you would like us to email it. It is available on the website. Every opportunity available.
Right.
Okay, I'm going fast, people.
Oh, the special
There
use
is,
permit.
the proposal for a special use permit, and that is being, incorporated into the Land Use Development Code, and that is actually getting fine-tuned also, as we speak. And what the purpose of the special use permit is, the authorization of the special use and how it shall apply to a specific use or a structure, and basically shall terminate upon future changes of land ownership. So there is going to be, there's a blurb in here, but there's also going to be a standalone ordinance. Oh, she's just really scrolling right through
I
there.
was trying to find where you get the special use permit form.
It's on page
Page-
34, hon, section 2.
Section 2-208.
What section, yeah.
Section 2,
On page what?
34.
Section 2 doesn't have a picture of that. Okay, there I was on 3.
Yeah, you're way,
Too far.
you're in section 4. So that's being incorporated in, again, another standalone ordinance will be implemented through that change. If we go to, and I think this is what you're kind of looking towards, page 41, under affidavit process, we're taking out the construction of a freestanding deck, the construction of any and all attached decks, and then that is getting implemented into the minor construction
It can't be in section 2.
permit application. okay? All of the stuff that you see in red is, was a previous change from a previous workshop.
Got it.
There was, on page 43, there was a discussion regarding permit extensions. There was also a discussion of if it is a multi-unit apartment complex, we'll use that as an example, that really didn't identify because it wasn't a commercial, it was residential, but it wasn't clearly stated. So, issuance of a multi-unit residential permits shall be good for 1 year. So we're kind of trying to clarify what those are, okay?
Permit's good for 1 year,
And then
and you can still file for extension.
You get
Yeah.
one extension.
Yeah.
I think that's where it was. We were going extension, extension, extension.
You got one extension, and then upon showing justifiable cause, you could get the second and final extension.
So
If it is going to be a commercial project
Yeah,
or a multi-unit project,
yeah.
then you're only gonna be able to get at this juncture, should this ordinance pass, one extension. So real fast. Let me see.
1, 3.
I have already skipped. I'm just looking for my green highlighted stuff, which is what I recently worked on today. I know, you're trying to catch up.
I got you.
We should have printed this up for you guys.
Nope, you're fine.
I'm kinda sorry about that.
That's all good. I read through it,
Okay, so if I go to page 90,
Which section?
4.
4,
I got section 3
Is that
and
before the-
section 5.
430.
you got 3 and 5.
Oh,
Okay, section 4-309, page 90, on the bottom.
What's
There-
the page number at the bottom on the?
On the,
Ninety.
right there.
81, so it's, go down 9 more.
we just threw her to the wolves today.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Trash,
Gina can handle it.
trash
Don't you let her
containment.
fool you.
Yeah.
trash containment.
Trash containment, we put that, we
perfect.
put that portion in there for
Oh, look, it says right here. I wrote it in here.
you guys. So we're
Thank you.
including that you know, obviously,
police your own
the
trash.
owner of the property shall be responsible for the management and removal of such materials. We also put in there, because it was brought to our attention, disposal of construction
Yeah.
materials.
The burn pits? Yeah. Seen a few of those around, but I get it. Yep,
We're not doing that anymore.
fair enough.
Okay, so
It's been,
with that said,
I've had oil
Let's not
coming in
burn-
my window at night.
Let's not
Yeah,
burn the
yeah.
place down.
Okay, yeah.
So with that said, there is going to be an amendment to the existing ordinance that's called Regulating Pyrotechnic Devices, Recreational Fires, and Open Burning.
Oh, there's also green on
Oh,
page 97, which,
I'm not there yet.
Which, we're not there yet.
oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm working on it.
So-
folks.
Which gets
I'm
to
gonna get
your
this whole
department,
package to you.
Design
want
Review
it.
Committee.
Pyrotechnic, oh, yeah. What in the hell does that even?
That refers to
It was in
open,
there.
Bottle
open,
rockets?
open.
Or
Okay,
what?
okay.
Roman-
Fireworks?
Fireworks?
Yeah.
Roman candles,
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
you name it.
So no more Roman candle fights in the backyard for the Wilsons? Drat! That's how we solve all of our
I'm
altercations
not
at the
saying
Wilsons.
anything, I just don't want anybody to burn down somebody's house.
No, we'll just burn each other down, it'll be fine.
It would-
No, that makes sense.
We are gonna work on a couple of different things. I mean, as you see on 91 and 92, we've got a little problem with our formatting here, so I didn't catch that before, I got that printed up, and then page breaks and stuff like that. Yeah, the spacing on here is a tad goofy.
She's talking about page 91.
No, like you said, there was green on that other page.
Oh,
Oh, 97.
97.
Yeah, we're getting to that, but, so on 97, under multi-unit, okay, it is my understanding that the design review committee is going to be looking at all structures R2 and above. So that's why it's under multi-unit. And so we put a disclosure in there that the design review committee guidelines referenced in section whatever are required. Design criteria must be followed for compliance with the Alpine Land Use Development Code. Well, that doesn't sound right.
Go to 98, if you
That's-
added more there.
She's just gonna
Phrase.
read it.
That's phrased better. Okay. In 98, we already had design review guidelines in there. Okay? So what we did is we put an additional blurb in there, and then we took out everything that's crossed out in red, because now it's going to the design review committee. And then from there, they'll make a determination. So commercial and mixed commercial residential buildings, section 4-505 has the exact same verbiage. And then the cross out for we prefer it to be,
That's
you know,
page 101. right?
page 101. Page 102, again,
All it.
architectural, so are you looking at stuff for light industrial?
Page 102.
We haven't talked about light industrial.
102.
I guess the discussion was R2 and up, so that
So
would,
it all meets.
that would include,
That would include
Light industrial.
zoning, so the light industrial zoning.
the light industrial zoning.
That could be
That could be a Melvin's. That's
could be
light
a-
industrial over
yeah.
there.
Could be, anything like that. Okay, so I think
Okay.
that's,
Also, that is found in public and
question for
community.
you guys in the council.
That'll be-
Exactly. Public and community facilities, it was input in there. Again,
Yep,
since it's R2 and above. Same thing with, this is kind of funky the way this is, recreational and conservation facility districts. That's
Yeah.
gonna be one you're gonna be looking at.
got it. And R2 is, that's ton of
R2 is multifamily.
Alpine zoning district, right? We're not
Alpine
talking
zoning,
IBC
not-
apartment, yep.
Right, we're not
yep.
talking IBC,
Okay,
apartments. We're talking strictly
Land use development.
yep,
land use development code. That was, on page 114, we talked about sign
We
heights.
did put that in there.
And we put, we were trying to determine, commonly known as the mean elevation of the street, to kind of give you a reference of where we're measuring from the sign height.
Yes.
I think we talked about that.
makes sense.
So Ford had minimal changes. 5 had no changes in green whatsoever. However,
Rules
what?
Rules,
have a lot. don't
Rules. Definitions.
definitions.
What kind of rules?
they? Well, it says rules of interpretation.
Yeah, that's on
Yeah,
the
that's
definitions.
part 6, that's
Yeah, we're not-
definitions.
We're not there to 6
Yeah.
yet.
Oh, okay.
So we've added a couple more
Jeez.
in
Jumping
there.
right ahead.
Construction activities, we gave that a definition, in case you don't know what it is. Construction materials, just in case you don't know what that is.
Got it.
There's a definition for you. The newest one, I
Improved
have
surface.
improved surface in green, but I know that we had previously talked about that, so. Man-made materials, that'll come into play when you decide to burn. So a definition for that, you know,
Synthetic material.
road elevation, which is, was a hot topic at the,
It was.
at the time. And that was pretty much it
All right,
for
so,
definition.
Mr. Architect,
What,
Yes.
does this mean that you can't
If
bring
we
two
were
by fours
to-
in your,
if we're
Would
gonna
never-
build, if we're gonna adhere to some type of understanding what the maximum height is it the crown of the road
For a building or a sign?
for
yes.
a building?
It's always been, at least in my experience, it's been, grade.
Yeah.
But then what happens when you're on a hillside, right?
Right.
So then, there is, we have to check, there's several jurisdictions, like it can be the midpoint or,
Yeah.
you know, it's like,
But the
Yeah.
the grade can be construed as whatever they feel that grade is.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, if
Yeah.
somebody like next door to me decided that they wanted to build their house 6 inches above mine, regardless of what grade was.
yeah. I see it usually, buildings I see usually handled on the grade on the site. The only place I've seen it referencing the crown of the road is with, like, you talked about sign heights, and then like, for example,
Correct.
HOA references 30 feet max height from crown of road. But I haven't seen that in like county land use codes or town land use codes.
So,
And that's, yeah, and
will
that's,
you
top of my
be
head.
taking that average grade height before construction
Oh, I
takes event?
see what you mean. You got the mound thing. Can you build the mound and then build the building taller? So referencing natural grade and finished grade,
But
So-
based on the
Yeah.
road, because the road's not moving,
yeah,
yeah.
right? We're not.
right,
You
yeah,
can manipulate all of the grades you want.
yeah,
So if we were to say it's the crown of the top of the crown of the road,
right,
Yeah.
nobody could ever misconstrue that that is the spot where
Right.
you can shoot your elevation from.
Unless it's a dirt road.
well, I think it,
But that's the same. It's gonna be the same.
Well, in theory it will, but not always. Like, before they,
yeah, but if the
If they
road's
have
up here
Yeah,
and you go
the
30
before.
feet, the building is taller. If the road's down here and you go 30 feet, it's shorter. I think there's a reason it's probably sloped hillsides, and there has to be something that says you can't mound up an entire story.
So how do we language that?
I don't know. I'd have to,
That's the
without
part-
reinventing the
that's
wheel.
part-
Yeah,
That's where we're getting to.
yeah,
Yeah.
we tra-
Is
we're
if we're
trying to
gonna
figure that
shoot
out.
the height of, if we say it's 30 feet, where we're gonna shoot it from,
yeah,
right?
We need that
Are we gonna
benchmark.
shoot it from a benchmark, we're gonna shoot it to the center line of the road, where that's not changing,
right,
right? Grade can change wherever, you can manipulate it wherever.
right. 'Cause
But
we say-
if they
yeah.
manipulate it, that impacts everybody in the neighborhood. So if we let them say it's the grade on the site and they manipulate it, then what's the point of having it?
Right. I know Caribou County has language for the sloped hillside. They actually have I think they have a diagram.
So
Like,
here,
let me
it's-
check that. Like, that's
we're flat.
been done before, and it has to reference, there's natural and finished grade
Yeah.
and distinguish between the two, but I don't think,
And here it's flat. We're talking flat.
yeah,
Well, even, so, just for a reference, before we built my shop in the backyard, I had a dirt road, so I brought my laser home, and I took a shot off of the center of the road, the crown,
Sure.
because that's just what my experience taught me.
Sure.
And I took a shot off that, and I took a shot of where my house was, because that's what we're trained to do. And this is why we're constantly going back and forth, because we don't have anything in
It-
the code book that says crown of the road.
Or,
yeah,
or the
Or
edge
anything.
of the road,
Or
or
anything.
something.
yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, good-
but the
a good
edge of the
builder's
road
gonna
could be
know.
manipulated, but the center of the crown of the road is not gonna be manipulated because that's town or county work.
And I think it should say something along the lines as, like, finished road, not necessarily asphalt. Because depending on, you know, if somebody wants to.
It's just that
Yeah.
is the part of it, is like, how do you keep one guy from doing, because the code, if I wanted to bring in 300,000 cubic yards.
Sure, you build up
put
a whole
my house
story.
on it,
Yeah.
There's nothing in this code that says I can't.
Yeah, at that point, you're saying that goes against the intent of the code, right? It's like someone has to interpret that.
But
yeah.
somebody, we're gonna be smarter, we're
Yeah.
gonna go, the worst case scenario is somebody brings in 300,000 and they put a road around it and say, that's my house, that's my castle up there,
Yeah,
right? We have to put it in here. Either we're gonna shoot grade from somewhere,
Yeah.
and I don't care, but if we go to the site, it's going to be either from the site that's not developed, because once they develop it, they've manipulated the site.
true.
And
You'd
most
have to
of
have
the
a
time,
survey
the grade of
before
your
it was.
driveway is
bulldozed,
really
yeah.
coming off of the edge of the surface, right? Because you're not gonna create a negative slope into your garage.
Yeah.
You're gonna create some positive slope into your garage. So if we had a place that we could say, from this spot, this is where we're gonna shoot your elevation, and you get 2% or 1% on your flat driveway, and that's it.
Yeah, I know so this line here, that's a slope, right?
Correct.
And then you can offset it, say it's like 35 feet. This is supposed to be done from probably natural grade, right? So then that's your cap. That's how, I think that's how Caribou County does it. And I don't know, Bonneville does, but it's out there somewhere.
Now, if we said that all projects need to have a civil set, it would all be determined for you, but they would need to know
Yeah.
where we go from.
Has someone built up an entire story or 4 feet around here?
Not yet.
Right
Yeah,
next,
you're just
right
hypothetically.
next to us,
Yeah,
it happened.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I guess it has happened.
No, I agree. There needs to be something in there that says you can't just bring in 300 truckloads of dirt and build up.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like, so where do we take it from? I mean, like, if most of my experience is now up in the hole,
Right,
it is edge of the road.
yeah. Yeah,
Because that's where, if they feel like there is an issue, they'll shoot your ridge, and that's
right,
it.
because you can't grade in the
You
easement.
can't grade an easement.
So
Exactly.
I see the point there, yeah, no, it's,
Right, so, and that's, all I'm trying to do is like, if we had some language in there that said, I don't care if it's the crown of the road or at the edge of the road,
sure,
That
I
just
don't
sets your
care.
precedent for your grading.
I just think it's gotta be in there,
So
that
that'll be like-
it stipulates,
you can only have
this
like
is where
30
your
feet,
30
35
feet
feet
become,
tall. That's your number.
starts with, and you
So
get X
the edge of the
grade
road.
for your driveway,
That's the way it is in Jackson. Yeah.
and that's it.
But like what.
Yeah.
And that's what
Brett
we're
is
trying
saying
to,
too,
that's what
like,
we're trying to get to.
Even in my neighborhood, that the road kind of.
I agree, there has to be something to
So you
prevent
have to
the
have
worst
that.
case,
To where it
like,
actually matches.
building up an entire story,
Or
or,
town, or matches within that subdivision. If I would have done that, and like taken a shot at my neighbor's house, I could have raised my crap up too. But instead, I went to the crown of my road and then made sure that it matched the whole flow of the neighborhood, so, because the neighborhood goes down a little
And
bit.
it would be,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
this is your property, right? These, if there's a height difference from here to here, you pick it, right? You either pick the
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
medium.
figure it out, yeah.
You figure it out.
Yeah, or
But
take that material down and
most
level it
people
out.
in the professional realm would do that. But
You gotta, I understand, if we don't have that labeled out.
if we
and
don't have it
that's what
there, so
Christina's
if it's,
trying to get
if
figured
you
out,
don't
too.
want it in the crown, I can totally buy into that too, because usually, you gain 2 or 3 inches.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
That's a
If
couple
you wanna
inches,
do it
that's
right
fine.
at the edge of the road where the driveway meets, I think we have to say that. And then you get, if most of the people are only gonna, they're building a 30-foot driveway with concrete, they're not gonna go 100 feet of driveway because that's the cheapest alternative.
Yeah.
What is the slope? 2%? 1%?
Yeah.
What do we get? And then, now we know where the top of your house is.
yep. I think it's a lot easier on flat sites, and there's a few slope sites in town, but, I think most of this is just like this is what, maybe less than 5% of lots in town, maybe, it's just like, most of them are relatively flat. Yep. But,
And so, if the language that we've put in here is incorrect, we can change it now.
where are you referencing that for building height? Is it already in there in green? Okay, so we're thinking about adding something for building height.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this has been a constant battle
It's a
I see.
constant-
Quite a
It's a
few years.
constant battle.
Yeah.
And we have to have that by Thursday, Christine?
Yep,
So we'll get it this
only by Thursday, Brett.
But it's just,
No
it's just,
pressure,
No
it's,
pressure, no.
it's
we
just,
don't put it
This
in.
week
So
or
This week.
next month?
This
Not
no,
week.
it'll be
Yeah,
next
my
year.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And the issue was, if you don't control it now, more people are gonna continue to do this
We'll take
hokey
advantage
pokey
of the situation.
BS thing. And that, I just don't see it as being good management on our
Right.
part, not to put it in there. But there was something, well, and we just.
So that we did have provisions in there, and it was in the weirdest spot. And it was actually under design review guidelines. And then we gave them, we prefer this, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And then
Page already
the
got
last one, on this one, I'm on
No,
99.
it's on the definitions,
No.
isn't it? Isn't that
No.
where you're,
I'm
oh, I
on-
apologize,
I'm back
don't
to
listen to
section
me.
4.
Section 4, don't
Page
listen to me.
99. Adjustments may be considered for sloped or irregular lots. Now, you ask why would that have been in there, and that was stricken from there, and I don't think I think it
We
was
never
just,
put it back in.
it just wasn't not put back in,
And I think that it should,
and it needs to be.
it needs somewhere, and I'm not, I'm just saying that for my where I live, in my realm, I don't care if it's the crown of the road or the edge of the road, because that's the start of the easement.
So the edge of the road is almost the same thing
Yeah.
as finished grade of the road.
99.
Is that accurate? No.
You get a couple inches.
I'm not
I mean,
seeing
it's
it on
crown of the
page
Oh,
road.
is that number 8? Is that it? Adjustments where it's,
Yeah, right there.
yeah, okay, so it's
Right there.
like,
We struck it.
yeah,
It never just.
When I
got-
say page 99, I mean the actual page.
yeah,
I'm not looking at whatever on.
Yeah, the
on
numbered
thing.
page in the
I'm
bottom
looking
right.
at the actual page on
Oh.
the document.
I'm looking where you're looking, I didn't see where she was looking, that makes
Yeah.
sense now, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was the problem, like on the first one, we're
Yeah,
going
I'm
to
with you
go
now.
on there and just put the page.
Yeah.
But then it didn't, yeah.
Still a little old school.
Because she's got it separate,
All
she's
in
got
one
it
document.
separated,
Yeah,
yeah,
she's got
because
it
they're
separated.
numbered as all of one document.
yes.
If
Okay.
you're good
Edge of road,
of the edge of the road, what would be the grade of a driveway on a flat site?
I think you,
1%, 2%?
2% is like, 2% max for ADA wheelchairs, that's like the go-to number.
but if you
That's-
do your
is that about-
driveway right to the edge of the road, if you've got a crown, that's gonna cause that
No,
to
because the,
drain a little bit and puddle right there at the end of your driveway, if you didn't plan
yeah,
accordingly.
well, it's gonna happen regardless. Because the crown is always gonna dump water, that's why
Right,
most,
that's why
like
it
our
sheds the water,
subdivision,
yeah.
we have to have a culvert or we have to have a
Mm-hmm.
burrow. If you do that, if you give them 2%, and our land use development code says you're only allowed 6 inches of viewable concrete, you now can systematically place the house at a height. The land use development code gives you that 6 inch piece.
it's the IRC that gives you that.
Oh.
edge.
Top of grade has to be, can't be closer than 6 inches to the top of wall, right? So, but I think that's, there's gotta be a simple way, like if you're saying edge of road, but there still has to be something to address the sloped sites, because that would
Sure.
greatly increase or reduce the
But I
height,
think that's
depending
the
if the
part
roads,
of
yeah.
a slope site, we will take slope sites that are greater than 5% or 10%.
Yeah.
And we just say, then here we go.
So that disclosure right there, adjustments can be made for sloped or irregular lots, really needs to be put into the maximum building height section.
Correct.
Oh,
So we'll move that into that section. Hopefully that'll maybe, because then a consideration, you're gonna have to bring something to us for consideration.
Yeah,
Answer your question, if we put in somehow, some way, the building height will be determined from the edge of the road.
Correct.
And you're just talking about the 35 feet, whatever it is right now.
I'm talking about 35
Yeah.
feet right now,
That's
or
the-
45 feet
Yeah.
if it's a commercial project. Would that work?
That would be fine. And then you put in and say, okay, if ADA says you have to have, you can't have anything greater than 2%, your driveway's now 2%, and now we can dictate how tall their house is from that spot. Because you don't have any language, there's no way anybody would tell me that they can determine 35 feet or 30 feet.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, demonstrate native grade with like a topo survey, or if a topo survey cannot be provided, then the town will use the edge of road or something, or, you know.
I think I think
Why
you have to.
can we just do edge of road? Then if you bring me a topo
Yeah,
and you can demonstrate a difference
Yeah.
of that, then that adjustment can be made, perhaps if you want to call it, for that sloped lot.
Correct, but I think that you have to put in there your maximum, the town will hold you at a 2% grade on your driveway. It's gotta be in there, because no matter where that 2% is, it's,
yeah. But if you're allowed 35 feet and you say you got a 20-foot structure, what's to stop you from raising it 5 to 10 feet just because you want a mound?
I get it.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but what does that do to your neighbor when all your cascading water goes onto their property? We have,
But
don't-
there's a provision in the IBC that you
Sure.
have to
But-
leave all of
but
that
that's
stuff, in theory.
before you get to the construction. You have to, so this is before you get to construction. You know that the edge of road 2% to this point, and then that's it.
And then that's it.
Because yes, you can mount it. There's nothing, IRC said, oh, IBC, no, it's IRC. IRC talks about, there's certain language when it talks about your municipal guidelines.
Okay.
And that's our responsibility to set those guidelines. There is no guideline for heights. Until you want somebody to come in here and start really playing with it. I mean, if I really wanted to screw with you, I'll get a permit tomorrow, and she's gonna be a big castle and a big mound, and I'm gonna have 2 basements. Like one right underneath the next one.
Okay.
I mean, yeah,
Well, there you
I
go.
agree
Swimming
with
pool it is.
something.
It's gotta be something. We have to put it in, and we haven't done that yet.
No.
We talked about it, and
Keep talking about it.
Yeah.
but we have to do that, because if they're gonna do the 3rd reading, and I don't think that they would even flinch at this point and saying, yeah, we have to be able to dictate where 30 feet is.
Okay. Our work's cut out for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
by Thursday.
That's the only thing in here that I've reviewed, that I know that we've talked about, that we haven't put in. And
Well,
now's your
they
chance.
can always,
You gotta get till Thursday.
they can always table the 3rd reading if it's too,
I don't think.
Well,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the part, this building season's coming, man. We
Yep.
gotta get some of this stuff done.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we went through this, we're moving forward, because we've read, we don't have to pass a motion or anything, we read through it, we reviewed it, so we'll move
It's moving
forward.
on to town council. Well,
With those
its
updates.
final
Okay,
implementation of the grade will be determined in
Yep.
there.
and,
I'll call you.
Who you calling?
the design review committee guidelines review, do we want to go through that?
Okay,
Everybody
so
read through that?
this has been, as the chairman of the design review committee, take it away.
We've had, let's say, at least 3 meetings, 3 or 4. There aren't a lot of design review guidelines
Who's all
throughout
on
the
this?
area.
Who's all? Who's all on?
Okay, so myself, Wendy Walton,
Oh, nice.
okay? You know Wendy from the library, she used to be on planning and zoning. And then Brian James, he's another architect. Wendy knows the land use code very well and sat on the board for years. And then I think Mayor asked, called a lot of people, and some said yes, some said no, but he was forming the board, so we signed up and referenced some design guidelines from towns that are close to us. Now, if you start moving further away, you end up with like urban centers that are trying to preserve historic districts. This vision needs some work. It's very kind of just chop, chop, chop. But if the whole thing is based on the vision, and then we have these basic design principles, there's a lot of it is all interpretation. Like, we're not going to necessarily have like a list of materials. And so that's one thing that we're talking about is, do we want to exclude any materials? So a lot of it is the interpretation of the board to read these guidelines on just like composition, right?
Yeah.
Massing, and so the intent is to avoid the big windowless stuff and, unlandscaped. There is landscaping in there. These are intended to be a draft, a first pass, develop over the years like that if the design review committee just remains a part of the LEDC. Let's see. The big question that we had was, do we exclude materials or not?
Oh, yeah, discuss vinyl, stucco, plastics.
Yes. Okay, so there's a word in here. To support the continued development of unique architectures, guidelines do not specifically restrict the use of any materials. So that leaves it up to the board to say, we don't think that's a good fit. That pretty much leaves it wide open for the board to interpret, and that's how it's done in other areas where they have a much strict board. I think there's confidence that they will stick to the code, but it's still a little subjective. Like, we're not trying to, what's it called, have a form-based code where we're basically prescribing the design. I think there's some of that in there where it says you have to have glass in the first story, and some things like that. I think that's a starting point. So the big reason for being here tonight with this is to show it to planning and zoning, because we feel that if we're going to take submittals, then our recommendation is going to go to planning and zoning or the building official. Not 100% sure yet if it's one or both. But if we say yes, then sure, everyone agrees, maybe. But if we say no, I don't think that means you have to say no, right? I think it's just gonna, does that make sense?
Yeah, makes
Because there's only so much teeth in this. I didn't bring the ordinance with me.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing, is that it's gotta be, you have to start somewhere, and this is an
Yeah.
awesome starting document for
And
sure.
I don't think you want to make it too cumbersome, too restrictive, and just too difficult on the first pass, because this hasn't been here before. So this is the first round. It's kind of a conglomerate of,
And the master plan could help change.
I think,
Oh, yeah, that's true, too.
define it even
That's a
more.
good call, Dan.
I think that's a definite, a year from now, these could be, some of the stuff is just basic, almost common sense, right?
So-
And then some of it is,
Can
Yeah.
I ask for a clarification on
Sure.
the addictive, I can't even read it upside
no, I
down,
hear what you're saying.
additive and subtractive?
Yep.
Can you explain that to me in more
Certainly.
like
So,
layman terms?
say you're just starting with a rectangle. Like, the point is to break up the volume,
Okay,
and
just like the shops and stuff. so it's
Generally,
just not a
that's-
big
more
Okay.
visually appealing. So,
Like the big barndominiums that
Yeah.
go up.
exactly. So if you have a rectangle, and then you have, lean-tos, and you have canopies on the front like this with columns, the more you break it up, the more it
Okay.
usually looks a little better, okay?
So
And-
that's what you mean by the additive and,
Yes. So if you start with just a rectangle, and then you notch it, right, from the street view, and you have a little guardrail there with some people, that's just generally looks a little bit better when you break up the mass.
okay. So it's just a way to break up the side of a building so it doesn't look like just a square box on
Yes.
a piece of property. so to
Yes.
speak.
As a, I guess as a principle, right?
Okay.
As a tool.
Like windows and stuff like that is fine for that kind of stuff too? Would that break?
I'd
it
say,
up?
windows would be more part of the skin.
Okay.
And this additive subtractive business is more the actual geometry,
Okay.
you know, like,
Okay,
like the shape of the structure.
okay.
It's like the windows.
I got you.
Yeah,
Well, I think I got you.
That makes sense?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just a straight line, there's some
Yeah, you gotta
variation
have some
in the
depth,
wall.
Yeah,
depth.
like it was done on this building with the porch. It's practical and it makes it look a lot better,
Yeah.
not
no,
having it.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
But I don't, so additive and subtractive massing, you know, is any one of, are all of these like a checklist item for a requirement? I think it's, you look at the whole thing and see what box it checks and what doesn't, and so that's where, we don't want to be a roadblock, but we also want to prevent certain commercial projects from,
Square boxes.
yeah, having some lack of appeal. I think that's why this ended up as an ordinance. So, I think that this leaves it up to, the board members to interpret, and we're not having a very, it's not like a mathematical solution, you know, like a snow storage thing, where it's either under or over. And
No,
so,
I think it's a great starting point for sure.
and so I think,
Anything you wanted to add to it, Dan?
I think it's a great idea. I think, you know, of all the things that the mayor's come up with, I think this is to make the town a little bit, it will make the town a little bit better if we can gain some control of the design of the things that are gonna go in, you know? Not everything is gonna be here one day.
Right.
If some big developer comes in and says, I wanna just build a strip mall, well, no, it's not gonna be a strip mall. It's gonna be
Right.
something with some taste and some clarity.
right, no, that's another great point, because we had, there was a comment about, generic corporate designs, right? So, you know, like, where it's a great example, the McDonald's.
Family Dollar.
Yeah, Family
yeah.
Dollar is one that
Dollar
like,
General,
so we
yeah.
had, so we had to ask ourselves how, we were here when that was approved, right? And we didn't think it was a good fit. No one really did, but there was no way to stop that yellow CMU wall. And then we look at Thane, they actually did a little, they put some materials on it and they broke it up a bit, right?
it up.
And like, why did they think that was okay for Alpine, but it wasn't okay for Thane? I don't know the answer to that. Like the McDonald's in West Yellowstone, right? There's some effort into that, like it's trying to make it look like a log cabin.
Absolutely.
It's not the same one you see on every highway interchange, so we think there should be somewhere in here that, without going too far, that repetitive corporate designs, they have to add some, we call it Western character.
takes
We don't
away
really
from
know
our
what that
quaintness
is,
of our
because
town,
it's traditional and it's contemporary now, so those
Or
are things we,
Or a mountain feel, some kind of something, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's so many different mountain feels. There's the Swiss, there's a European feel, there's, you know,
yeah,
Vale, Aspen, I mean, well, then there's Jackson
Right.
too, but Jackson has become more identified with keeping the old west kind of look and with a modern feel.
yeah, so those are some things that have come up, but at least it's a start. It'll get a 1, 2,
Yeah.
and/or 3 readings. and
It's a
I
good
know
start, for sure.
Then we'll have more questions, so I don't know if, you have any more questions now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Give me 5 minutes.
So
Yep.
permit applications are gonna be directed to you, R2 and above, for Architectural Design Review Committee. You guys will review it, then you will send it back to the planning and zoning, and then it goes from there. Is that?
That's my
correct
understanding.
understanding?
I don't know if we're gonna have a public meeting for every application. I think we're going to review it, and then we'll probably respond yay or nay. There's 3 members, and then it'll carry on from there. There's a thing about like sketch plan, bring as
Oh,
much
yeah.
information as you like to get, hey, does this meet the intent of these guidelines? And then there's the full submittal, which would require elevations and, the site plan, stuff you'd have to do anyway for building permit, but it is definitely another layer of time to any process. But if the town wants that review, then they're gonna have to add the time. And,
It's just
There's
part of
no-
the program.
yeah.
Okay. Do we need to send this up to town council? Are we all good? We're just reviewing it right
You know,
now?
basically, I think you guys just need to look it over, and then,
Yeah.
from my understanding, there's going to be an ordinance, and they might have a first reading on the ordinance on Tuesday. But if you look it over, and then if you've got any, I guess, ideas or suggestions, we can put those together and then make a recommendation at our next meeting for town council.
But are those going to actually, they're not gonna be in ordinance per se, the guidelines and the checks, but you're just gonna reference them. So any changes we make to them is still gonna be fine, right? Do I understand that correctly? So we don't need to have this fixed before it gets passed into ordinance.
No.
These are definitely just.
We're talking two different things.
I don't
I'm
think she
talking
was though.
land
No, I
use
was.
development code.
Yeah, I was talking about this, the
I'm talking
design.
about
then-
design review.
Okay.
And then this is a standalone ordinance.
Yeah,
Yes,
From
but
my
what I'm saying is
understanding.
in that standalone ordinance, it's not gonna say, this is our guideline and this is our checklist. It's going to reference, you'll have to go through the design review process, just like we did in LU, the code development, land use development,
Yeah.
right? So these don't have to be nailed down is what I'm saying, because they're not going directly into ordinance.
I think what they wanted to start the readings, so that they will be a currently adopted version of the design review guidelines.
for this.
And the LEDC will reference that, like, currently
Yeah,
adopted
these will
version.
be in an ordinance
Yes,
verbatim.
yep, and there was an ordinance passed, was it a year or two ago, year and a half? Let's say a year.
We've had a lot.
Yes,
I need
okay,
a little
for the
more
design
of a
review
reference.
committee, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
so that
yes.
ordinance references some of this stuff, but I know there's some cleanup to do. So the intent is to have this be the currently adopted version once it goes through the process, and I think that is done by an ordinance.
Did that answer your question?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'm,
So
Well, because
our, di-
Because
four
then
days
the
in now,
rules,
so I'm not
Yes.
familiar with everything and what's already in
You mean you
ordinance.
don't know right off the bat? in 4
sooner,
days? I mean,
sooner or later, we will make pieces in the land use development code that specifically marries up with what they're doing.
Well, I think that's kind of what we're doing with it right now, is just referencing to them that you have to follow that, and then that gets up.
right,
Yeah.
that's our reference.
believe-
Multi-unit buildings shall adhere to the architectural
Yeah.
standards established by the most recent adopted design review and committee guidelines.
Yep,
These
so-
guidelines outline the required design standards, exterior materials, colors, and architectural character to ensure developments are complementary to the surrounding building and natural environment, is what the verbiage is that was put in our land use development code.
how did you fix that? I started fighting Microsoft Word, and then I had to give up, but
Well, at first I created a whole new document.
perfect, yeah.
That's what this is, but she made it in a different program.
Oh, okay.
So that was why you were struggling with it.
Yeah.
But this is just a new one I created, I just created three.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so we'll just start this process. I talked to Monica last week, and she had some comments about readings for this, okay? And so that's why we wanted to get it in your hands as soon as we can and see where it goes from there.
I appreciate your hard work on this. This is good.
Well, Wendy and Brian, I just told them
Your
I'd
whole
go to the
team.
meeting.
How's
and-
that?
Exactly.
I appreciate the whole
Yeah.
team's efforts on getting this rolling.
Certainly,
How's that? Was that a better way? Okay.
yes.
All right.
All right.
Let's move on along, shall we?
Thank you, Brian.
Yes, thank you,
Well,
Brett.
thank you.
Appreciate
You're
your
welcome.
hard work, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so do we need to discuss this complaint and how we're going to proceed to send people over and talk with people?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
I mean, that's usually, that's the way it's,
So this complaint was
Are you talking
addressed,
about the complaint? Are you chiming with the
how
complaint, or are
we,
you
no,
doing the
we've
design?
been directed that there is no language in land use development code that says this is how we're gonna do this.
Are you talking about the complaint? We're still confused.
We're, yeah,
We're-
but
I think
I'm
he's on
reference-
our
I'm-
chime.
I'm-
He's,
I'm-
he's
I'm
moved,
saying,
All right, he's moved on.
He's
all right.
with us.
he's moved on.
Just making sure we're on the same.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if you were right on with me as well. I'm
There is a section in the land use
always
development
right on your
code.
coattails.
sorry. You're stepping on him and
Right-
throwing me back,
right-
that's what you're doing.
right on your coattails.
Ma'am,
Do you have
sorry.
a book?
Oh,
There
yes,
is a
ma'am, I
section
do.
in the land use development code, citizen complaints,
Page,
page 127, ma'am.
thank you, ma'am. Oh, that was mine.
So it basically stipulates any landowner, resident, private company, corporation, or public agency shall be allowed to file a complaint of any violation of this ordinance at the office of the town clerk. Forms and citizen complaints will be made available to the general public through the clerk's office. When a complaint is received, the zoning administrator will, as soon as practical, place the complaint upon the agenda of the Planning and Zoning Commission. When a complaint is received, the zoning administrator will all send a copy of the complaint, and it goes through the steps. This complaint needs to work through that process, but that process involves our code enforcement officer.
It also said go to the clerk first, so she can make it public knowledge,
Yes,
and it hasn't done that.
it has,
Oh,
and then it's filtered.
oh,
Back-
so are
back
we,
again to
how
me.
does it get to be public knowledge?
I don't know, that's a good question. I'd have to talk to the clerk about that.
Probably have to publish it like you do notice of meetings and things like that.
Yeah.
Those specifics.
I would think too, yeah, would make sense. I'm just
Yeah.
hearing and listening and speaking.
So I think what we need to do is obviously acknowledge the complaint. We received your complaint, and we are working through the process, and we will be giving this to our code enforcement officer for further investigation.
I think that's a great letter. That works for me. Dan?
Yeah, I have no issues with that.
Okay.
Thank you for working through the process and helping us come up with a great way to solve this issue. Ms. Christine?
But that is a good question. The form,
How does it become public knowledge?
yeah.
And I mean, honestly, if somebody complains to the town about, oh, you can't wear black anymore, or you have to, do I have to like
Yeah,
make
post
that,
that.
post that out to the general public and the,
Yeah.
or is it just
I
a,
don't know if I feel so comfortable about
yeah. I don't, yeah.
that. I know it's in there,
Good. Got another one we can fix. I'm so excited.
but
Welcome to the family.
I don't know if the public needs to know that they're,
That Bob doesn't like Dave's fence or whatever.
Well, and maybe just logging it into here makes it become public, right? This is a public meeting, which has public minutes, maybe that's how it gets that
Oh,
way.
that's
I
the
don't
word
know.
around.
Point-
Oh,
point taken,
is that
yeah.
a,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good word.
but,
usage for
you know,
Christine.
I think,
Workaround.
I think if we send the code compliance officer to research it and figure out the data, I mean, I think that the code compliance officer would be smart enough to go to somebody like Christine to say, okay,
What's going on?
here are the questions you need to look for.
Okay,
Okay.
I think you're reading something into that. The form for citizen complaints will be made available to the general public at the
Oh,
town
so
clerk's
anybody can.
office. Maybe I didn't enunciate that appropriately.
Which section is that, Christine?
Page 127,
Oh,
5-203.
I did not change the page.
Change page.
5-203, pardon me.
So it's already public knowledge, it's here in the meeting,
Yep,
it's being televised to all, 10,000 people.
all of the 4 people that
They're
are watching.
just- they're- How do you know there are 4 people?
It's riveting.
How do you know?
I can see how many people are viewing on the computer.
Are there really 4 people?
There's 3.5, no.
I don't know. I'm curious now. Okay, 0 right.
Oh, man!
Really busting it out there. Got the humor.
We have 4 viewers.
Yeah, there you go.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Get involved.
So, is this the public forum?
The way that I'm reading, the forms, which would be the complaint form for citizen complaints, will be made available.
So if the
to
general public wants to come in and go, hey, can I see that form somebody filled out for me?
Right, see,
Okay.
well, yeah. Or basically, it's a blank form. It's a blank
Yeah,
complaint
it's just
form.
saying it's gonna provide
It's
a
just
form for you to
saying,
complain.
it's just saying the form is available for the general public.
If you word it that way, I think we will comment after the investigation is over.
Okay,
I would think that would be the appropriate thing. We don't need, people stoning somebody,
No.
throwing rocks, or burning somebody's house down.
Yeah.
We just need to just be quiet.
No bottle
until
rocket
we get-
fights.
Until we get the full data, and then we can put it out there. I don't think that, everybody needs to know this,
Yeah, you don't want to know your accuser too.
you know? The guy built a shed, and now 3 people are living in it.
Maybe it's a mother-in-law shed. Maybe that's where the mother-in-law sleeps for the
It's a
night.
she shed?
Does that make it a she shed? It's just
It
because there's
becomes
a woman in
she-shed.
it? There's a woman in it, it's a
That
she
would be
shed?
a she shed.
The shop is my she shed now. Okay, so we're gonna move forward. Miss Christine is gonna send this to the code enforcement officer and keep us informed on how
Informed on
everything
how everything
goes from
goes.
there.
And
Okay,
who
let's
is
move forward.
Who is our code compliance officer? What's her name?
Chantel Heiner.
And she's available?
I guess we're gonna find out.
She's our code compliance officer. I will double check with the clerk on what her available hours are tomorrow.
Perfect. We appreciate that. Thank you, Christine. Okay, let's move forward. Public comments and or concerns. Class? Anybody?
I have a question,
Please.
okay?
Take the chair.
I don't know why you moved.
State your name.
State your name for
Okay.
the records.
Brett Bennett. I have a question for Danny on
Oh.
Dead Horse Meadows, okay? So the snow storage, we had a site plan review, right?
Yes.
And there was a 300-some square foot figure listed there. Does that mean we add, say if we had 10,000, we say 10,000 minimum, we have to show 10,300 minimum? What was the 300 square feet representing? Does that ring a bell?
No.
Okay, so we'll just talk about that later. The other thing was,
You need 20%
Of 10,000.
yeah, so.
of your
that's 2,000.
parking.
Yeah, so I calculated we needed like 10,000 order magnitude minimum, right?
Right.
And we're showing like closer to 15,000 if you take everything you can possibly take. And then on the,
In those
Yeah.
green belted areas. Okay, so my question to you is, for Mr. Scow, on those different green belt areas, or the snow storage identification, do you have the square footage in those individual areas? That's what I'm looking for.
yes, like if it wraps around,
Oh,
it'd
I
just be
see.
the
So
whole.
if it wraps
whole
around
thing.
on
I'm with
that
you.
backside,
And that's-
What is the
5, this is
overall
10,
green
this is
strip
20,
square
yeah.
footage?
the
That's-
strip down there.
Right now, it's the same as the landscaped area. The landscaped area is the green, and that's also being shown as snow storage, and we have areas we can add more, but I don't think we need to at this point. Because if we land around 15,000 and we need, say, 10,000-ish,
But I think the question was, that needs to be identified, the snow storage square footage calculation needs
Okay.
to be
I'll make sure it's,
identified on, like, this green, 10,000, 20,000
okay,
square feet. I think that's
And-
what we were missing on that
got it.
Okay.
particular
And then,
element.
because Mr. DJ is gonna take PDFs, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so should we just submit one hard copy now, and then you will tell us if you need more?
Yes.
Okay, start there, because we don't wanna print 3 and then just be like throwing away, but,
Because we need the hard copy for in-house.
yep,
Now, you've already provided some, we should probably look at and make sure what you've already given me
Right, we did.
is the updated.
We submitted our sets and then the applications, and then we're gonna probably submit sets after the fire marshal comes back, okay? So, but I think we'll give you one full hard copy of both buildings, and then you tell us if you want more, we'll print them. Because you'll want one for the office, maybe one for the job site, but if the one for the office is now a PDF bundle, do you still want it? That's the question.
You have to
DJ
have,
wants everything digital.
Yes, okay.
but we have
And
to have the
then
hard copy here in
your
the office.
contractor needs to make sure that there is a set on site.
Perfect.
That would
Should
the
there
set
be
that's
any
gonna be-
questions?
A stamp set.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we'll,
So you need really two here.
No, because I think we're gonna use ours as the digital copy.
No, you need one. You need one for the job site, and you need one, you don't need a digital copy here.
You want a paper
You
full
want a
on
paper
copy.
full on, so you can look at it and scale it.
Okay,
okay.
just so everybody's all on board
Oh,
here.
hi, she's giving me the look at it.
We are trying to move to conserve space and keep
Yes,
digital.
Oh,
okay.
We can't like float you out with plans.
No. I'll be
But-
standing on top of the plans.
Yeah,
Yes, there,
So
so,
that may change.
so the
It's okay.
question is gonna be,
I can't scale a set of drawings. The digital copy.
well, Dan, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
No, but I'm just saying,
theory, yeah,
I'm just
there
saying, I'm just taking myself out of it. If somebody's gonna open up a set of
Yeah, you
drawings,
do have to
and you're gonna scale it, and you're gonna look at stuff, it's,
Fair.
you need a set of
Yeah,
plans to
yeah.
do that,
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
a
I-
digital copy to
Yes,
do
sir.
that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because the scale will be very
I think
fast.
each inspector has their own unique way of doing
Yes.
stuff. For those purposes, to get plans down to him for a review, he wants the digital copy.
right.
The town of Alpine is trying to go into conserving filing space, but we also need that big copy, so contractors usually always come in, and there's gonna need to be one at the job site,
Right,
wherever it might be,
okay.
in the construction trailer,
So I think I'll tell them to print one.
so that's two, yeah.
That's two, but just tell us if you want more, we'll print them in a couple of days, because it's not gonna make it to the job site for a while
It's not
anyway.
gonna make it to the job
And then-
site for a while.
And the other thing I'm just worried about, if there are significant comments or anything, we're just like, we just keep reprinting full sets. They're,
Exactly.
You know, they're
Well, do you wanna?
several $100 each to
So-
print.
Well, that's what I'm
maybe-
saying, do you wanna wait
So
till after the fire
what
marshal?
what we
reviews?
need to do is submit your digital copy.
Yep,
We'll get our digital copy off to the building official. We'll have a
Yes.
paper copy here. We can do the site plan review,
right. Yep.
and then once we get to the permitting stage, because the building official is gonna dictate to the town clerk whether they're issuing a permit or not, when you or the contractor or whoever comes to pick up their building permit, their issued building permit, that's when we'll get the additional copies.
Okay,
Perfect.
perfect.
I mean, does
Yes,
that sound
Yeah.
like a good flow?
because we're gonna submit to the state, and we're gonna submit to you guys, and perfect world, we'd
And
submit to
then,
the state
in
first,
the
but,
perfect world that we live in,
yeah.
when you send it off to the state and you get your information, or share this with Danny, to include us in that loop with that documentation.
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
good.
Did that-
Yes.
Did that help you?
Yes.
I also have a question too. So does this mean that we're not, oh, you're not done? Yes, ma'am, go for it.
Not done?
I don't
No,
know.
no,
She has a
well,
question for you.
the-
Mine is a whole
The
different.
permit application, is in process. So just so you know.
Got it.
I've got that file. I was out of town last week.
Yes.
And so unfortunately, this stuff took a little bit of priority, so now we're gonna roll into that. Just so
Understood.
FYI, so you know.
Yes, so no comments based on what's been submitted so far from DJ?
So far,
Yes, okay.
no.
All right,
Perfect. Are you
perfect.
good with him now?
Yep.
I don't know.
For
Yeah,
now.
that's
Give it-
kinda
give it
what
5
I'm
minutes,
expecting.
it'll change.
Don't leave.
I
Yeah.
got his number.
Okay.
Yep.
So moving forward to the next question, are we gonna get to review active permits and stuff anymore, or, just active permits list or anything, or are we gonna worry
Yeah,
about
your
any of that?
active permits list was not printed tonight. It's
Yeah,
not
just in general for the,
available,
with everything
but
changing.
again, you will have a list. However, again, since we're streamlining
And that's fine,
meetings,
as long as I
we
get a
won't
copy
be,
of it
we
or
won't
whatever.
be removing, you won't be removing,
Okay.
removing anything.
Well,
from
that's
the
fine,
list.
as long as we get copies of them and still we can check on them. And then also, anything else? Do we have anything else? Have we gotten any kind of a permit for the, grocery store, the Mexican grocery store there?
No,
Have we heard anything about that? Okay,
Did we ever handle the easements with Lashcon?
I sent a letter to the Public Works Director, CC'd the town clerk, and I believe the town engineer, and I might have gotten something back from Jorgensen.
okay.
I have to check my
Just,
sources.
it's just the only thing that I'm just going through.
And with that said, I think we've talked about, or I've talked with the applicant regarding easements for the Dead Horse project, because we are gonna have a lift station over there. But as soon as I get stuff, and maybe that might be the email that I got back, that might be on the Dead Horse
I think we have,
project, because of that lift station.
they
and the
figured
way
out what
it's
they needed to
connected.
figure out to stamp it for permit, let's put it that way.
Did they?
Yes.
Did they get the pressure too? Do you
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
So it'd be Harmony Civil Engineer. But they did,
I believe that's this
Yeah.
that I got from Coulter.
okay.
Okay, so we haven't done anything with Lashcon.
We have sent it to the Public Works Director.
Okay. All right. Any other public comments, concerns? Town council meeting? I assume you're gonna be there too, Dan?
That's
I
on
will.
Tuesday? Yeah. I'll be
Yeah, I'll be there too. Especially if we're
I
gonna be
understand there
reviewing,
will be quite a few items on the agenda.
especially if we're reviewing the,
And we're not gonna be, there'll be no need for us to speak to.
oh, yeah. Yeah, probably not.
We don't need to speak to anybody about anything anymore.
I mean, there's not much, we didn't do anything really tonight, besides argue about decks.
It's all right.
All right, so,
I just know who holds the liability when that shit falls off, so.
all right, so I'll entertain a motion for number 8.
I'll make a motion to, we don't even have the minutes of last meeting.
Nope.
No, I'm
She
sorry,
was
they
off on
are,
vacation.
they are unavailable. Sarah was working on them, and unfortunately, she got pulled in quite a few different directions
Got
and wasn't able to do it. She was gonna try to pull it off, but I wanted to give you guys time to review it, and
We
so I
appreciate
just
that.
told her,
Thank you.
let's just hold off until,
Yeah. Just get them emailed to us and we'll read them.
So, I'll make a motion that we, close the meeting.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? I second. Any further discussion? No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, done. 8:55.
thank you, ma'am. Okay.
I have got to go to the bathroom. Excuse me.